Kerry Jones plays for Harlequins in England's Aviva Premiership. The 33-year-old Welshman, who's won 2 caps for his country, signed for the London club in 2003 and has made over 180 first-team appearances. Normally a loose head prop, he can also play tight head when needed. A typical season for Kerry would involve 30 matches from August to May, a combination of domestic and European competitions.
John Muldoon plays for the Irish province Connaught in the Magners League. The 27-year-old flanker has won 3 caps for Ireland, not bad considering he didn't pick up a rugby ball until he was 14 years old. From August through to May, Connaught played 22 matches in the Magners League and at least another 6 in Europe.
Ronnie Ace is a 31-year-old prop playing for the Pumas in South Africa's Currie Cup, the oldest domestic competition in world rugby. The 130-kilogram loosehead prop, who was born in Pretoria, would typically play 26 matches for his province and has in the past represented the Cheetahs in the Super 14.
And finally, 25-year-old Michael Reid is the captain of North Harbour, who play in New Zealand's National Provincial Championship, the ITM Cup. Another prop forward, his season for North Harbour runs from July through to November, involving up to 15 matches. He would also play club rugby in the first half of the year.
The lights come on at 6 a.m. at Kerry Jones's house on the outskirts of London. In an hour and a half's time, he'll be lifting heavy weights at the Harlequins gym. So it's essential he eats a protein-packed breakfast before setting off for the training ground just over 30 minutes drive away.
On the west coast of Ireland, John Muldoon goes through a similar ritual. It's a scenario all professionals will be familiar with to varying degrees. The game at an elite level imposes huge demands on players' bodies, and diet and nutrition have increasingly become an integral part of life as a pro.
We have a nutritionist on board, and he comes over and sees us every couple of weeks and maintains everyone and makes sure everyone's not losing their body shape and stuff. And you're in a professional environment, so everyone has to look after themselves, and everyone knows that if they don't put good stuff in there, they ain't going to get good stuff out. So yeah, I presume it's everyone's own priority to look after themselves, and the better they look after themselves, the better results and rewards they'll get out of it.
We go for a sort of high protein diet. We do have some carbohydrates in there, but they're mainly the complex carbohydrates. Things like your rices, your potatoes, your pastas are all mainly sort of just after sessions when you've had a really tough session. The rest of the time we try to stick to high protein, oily fishes, your fish oils, those kind of supplements you take as well. You know, I take like a green solution, which really helps keep your green levels up as well. But mainly, like this morning, you'll have a oily fish and some scrambled eggs for breakfast. Straight after sessions, you can afford to have some pasta and that, and especially start off the afternoon session we have this afternoon, we'll probably eat some carbohydrates and some complex carbohydrates. But the rest of the time, you've just got to try and watch your diet as much as you can.
We get lunches here, and I try to keep it as lean as possible. And some of the guys, exactly myself, yes, we like our biltong and our braai vleis and stuff like that. But yeah, we try to keep it down, and the coaching staff is very hard on us, especially the bigger guys. So yeah, he's like he want to be the fittest team and be in shape. So yeah, they quite tough on us and try to keep us in shape. Yeah.
I guess personally, I don't have a set diet. It's just sort of just a good healthy diet like you'd eat as a normal person. You know, just three good meals a day and a couple of snacks in between, really, just to keep the energy going and stuff. But I mean, there'll be certain guys who are probably either a bit skinny or a bit the other way, a bit overweight, that might need to be on a special diet to sort of cut a few things out or get a few extra things into body and stuff, but personally it's just a matter of just eating a normal healthy diet like you would if you're living a healthy life, really.
The physical nature of rugby requires large squads to compete in the professional era. And it goes without saying that humour plays a large part in everyday life. Kerry allowing himself to be profiled on television, of course, opening him up to plenty of stick from his teammates.
We've got a squad of about 32 senior professionals. That's pretty much the same, I'd say, throughout the league. Maybe a few guys got a few more, a few guys got a few less. And then you've got another sort of 8 or 10 academy guys. The camaraderie is brilliant. We got a really good squad for banter. It's pretty intense sometimes. A few guys, you know, if you've done something particularly silly, you'll get a fair bit of stick. But no, it's good.
Well, I think it's quite phenomenal that a physical specimen like that, has managed to make a living out of sport. I mean, a guy looks like the Abominable Snowman, plays probably like the Abominable Snowman. Scrummaging, well, you know, we'll probably give him that one, but he likes to be known as the Duke around the club, but I think it's probably more apt to call him a Duchess, because he certainly doesn't wear the trousers in his home, does he?
Definitely not. He's self-proclaimed the Duke as well, isn't he? Which, you know, we'd never give him that nickname. He's definitely the Duchess.
The size of the squad we'd have 30 full-time players, and then we'd have about 5 academy players. There'd be young guys coming through the ranks, so our squad size would be about 35 altogether.
Yeah, I think for a small union we have quite a nice squad. I think we have 35 guys. And in each position there's already two guys, I think. Competition is like very hard for the guys here, so it's not an easy task to be in a 35 because there's only space for 22 guys.
Media demands are ever increasing on professional players, but so too are the financial rewards available. The Southern Hemisphere might have the world's top-ranked international teams, but the money is to be found in the North.
This year the Players Association have just negotiated it's a maximum limit of 60,000 per player. Not per player, but that's the maximum payment that a player can be paid within a union, and then I think there's 3 players that can be paid up to 90,000 who have done, I think it's 8 years at the union or something, and then for the Super 14 players you will then get paid on top of that up to, I think it's about 180 odd thousand maybe.
The average wage structure at the Magners League would vary a lot depending on team and personality. Obviously your top end international could be on anywhere 300,000 to 400,000 euros, and then working all the way down to academy player might start on 10, 12, but I'd say the average non-international would be probably close to 100k, I'd say.
I'd imagine your academy guys, the first year academy, they wouldn't be on, you know, an awful lot of money at all. You know, it's sort of, I don't know, between 10 and 20,000 pounds. You know, and then if they're a good one, then they get renegotiated quite quickly. I imagine up between sort of 40 to 60, and then your average probably player is on around between probably 80, 90, 100, something like that. And then obviously you've got your superstars on top of that who can be on huge amounts of money. You know, your outside halves and your tight heads and the people they bring in from overseas are on and can be on, you know, 200,000 more a year.
The game changed so much, and from a youngster, because if you now in Kramer Week and you play like you're one of the superstars in the Kramer Week, you're automatically going to get a contract like, say, maybe 10 to 20,000 rand a month. And for a youngster who's 19 years old, that's a lot of money. You don't know how to use it.
And where there's money, there will be agents. Good and not so good, inevitably. Interestingly, our 4 players had mixed views on the role they played in their lives.
I had a few agents, but like I said to myself, yes, I'm so long in the game now, I can organise my own stuff and try to deal my own, because then you don't have to pay extra fees and stuff like that. But I must say there was a few guys in my life that helped me to take me where I am now.
I wouldn't say if you're just coming into the ITM Cup you need to sign up and get an agent straight away, because really a lot of it happens for yourself by playing well and you get signed up. But then I guess, yeah, if you're looking to go overseas or go somewhere else for another opportunity, you certainly need an agent then for that contact, I guess.
I think rugby is catching on a lot recently in the last couple of years. Players' rights and image rights are becoming a big thing in rugby, and obviously your Brian O'Driscolls of this world are hot property, and as it goes down the line, obviously less and less so, but still at the same time your agent plays a big role, and it's important to have a good agent and have I suppose a responsible agent that you're confident with.
I've got an agent, I've had him for probably 6 or 8 seasons now. It just makes life a lot easier because it's quite difficult to go into a guy you see every day, your boss, and sort of brag yourself up and tell them, you want an increase, and then they've got to argue their case, and it just makes life a bit awkward. So you're just better off having a third party going in there doing it for you.
Playing in the Magners League involves huge amounts of travel. The tournament pits clubs from Ireland, Wales, Scotland and now Italy against each other. For the Connaught players in particular, the geographical logistics are arduous, to say the least.
That's probably the downside to obviously living in the west of Ireland. A lot of our travel would be out of Dublin. We wouldn't have the finances sometimes to be able to charter flights all the time. So it is a little bit painful sometimes, but obviously we're playing it in very nice places. Obviously the Italian team's coming in this year is going to be a big addition to the league, and I suppose when you go into Europe you're playing France and all these places, so there are ups and downs to travelling. Obviously you get to see some very nice places, and we've played in some really nice stadiums and really nice towns over the last couple of years, but the travel sometimes can be a little bit hard and strenuous.
In the league, obviously you've got Newcastle. That's probably the furthest trip. We tend to sort of stay up the night before there. I think if we go to Leeds, we'll probably stay the night before as well. But most of the trips we're trying to do on the day now. If we go down to Bath or if we go to Leicester, we'll be doing both those trips on the day. Like I said, our bus is pretty good. It's really nicely fitted out, and it's got sort of internet access, and you can watch your films and everything on there. So it's quite a relaxed sort of mood on the bus. It's not too bad at all.
When you first start, it's sort of you're pretty excited about it. You think, man, I'm going on a plane for a game of rugby, and it's pretty all exciting and all that sort of thing. But then after a while, you sort of just get used to it. It just becomes part of the norm, and you just adjust and learn to adjust whatever's needed, really. But it's we travel around New Zealand. It's never sort of more, I guess, than 2 hours at the most, which is not too bad, really.
Not too bad if you're playing in front of packed-out stadiums week in, week out. But again, there are markedly different experiences here between our 4 professionals. North Harbour have been struggling to fill their ground for their ITM Cup matches.
At home, we'd definitely like more. We'd be good, but I mean, as a team, we've been pretty inconsistent so far this year, so that makes it hard for people to give up their hard-earned money to come and watch us, I guess, when there's so many other things on and you can just flick the TV on and watch it there as well.
For smaller unions, it's always difficult because they know it's your first year in Currie Cup, so they're not that interested to come to see you play. But say normally when the Blue Bulls, when we played in Nelspruit, yes, there was 24,000 people, and that was massive. That is the biggest ever I saw a crowd supporting the Pumas as well, because normally here at the Witbank we had like 600 or 800 people, but I must say the type of rugby we played, we draw every weekend, many more supporters to come and support us.
We're averaging around the 12,000 mark, I think. It's usually sort of over 10,000 at the Stoop, but we also have the big game at Christmas at Twickenham, so I think they usually hope for sort of 60,000-70,000 there, so obviously that pushes up our average for the whole season. But yeah, it's between sort of 10 and 12 at the Stoop.
It's not quite the same for John at Connaught. Their home ground doubles up as a greyhound stadium, and their typical crowd rarely numbers above 2,000. Away from home, though, it can be a completely different story.
in regards to the away games, the attendances vary a lot. Munster could have 30,000 at a game, Leinster 18 to 20,000, same with the Ospreys sometimes, and then all the way down to Edinburgh and Glasgow, who would have maybe 2,000 to 3,000 as well. It's kind of a daunting task going into Murrayfield with only 2,000 or 3,000 people in a 50,000 seater. Can be a bit isolating at times, but on average, I think the Celtic League or the Magners League, it's growing. The attendances are getting bigger and bigger, and it's becoming a very enjoyable atmosphere and environment to play in.
Connacht hadn't won away from home for over 2 years in the Magners League, and there were only 3,000 fans in Glasgow to witness them end that bleak statistic. They trailed to an early Warriors try. But a superb individual effort from winger Fionn Carr brought them back into the game. And in a second half dominated by penalties, this strike 5 minutes from time by fly half Ian Keatley secured a valuable 1917 victory.
Italian newcomers Aironi suffered a heavy defeat at the hands of the Scarlets in Llanelli. 2 first-half tries, including this superb effort from George North, set the home team on their way. Four more tries followed in the second half, this one from Jonathan Davies completing the 49-10 victory. The other Italian side, Benetton Treviso, have fared much better, winning 2 out of their 3 opening matches.
The career of a professional rugby player isn't long, perhaps 15 years at most, and with the physical nature of the sport, contracts are rarely offered on long-term deals. You're only ever as good as your last season.
I think the contract length is like between 1 and 2 years. It depends if you're like an up-and-coming youngster. Some of the teams like to give you like a 3-year contract, but then with a performance statement, and like you can get more money if you make it like this, if you make it to the top. And yeah, the Pumas as well. We have like 1 year and 2 year deals, but that's the average. Like even when I was with the bigger unions, that's the average contract you get.
Coach. Yeah, good, JJ. Good. That's it. And then in more again, yeah? Then in there. And once you've done it, chase that shoulder out. So you're on top. Yeah, inside, yeah. Generally, most contracts, probably within the league, are generally 2-year contracts. You might get some players get signed up on a 3-year contract. For example, I think Nick Easter's on a 3-year contract. They signed him up. He's happy enough, and he wanted a 3-year contract with some security. Maybe some of the young guys, they might sign up for 3 years, but generally most of the boys are on 2-year contracts.
They look to sign you up for at least 2 to 3 years, probably, depending on the player that they see. Sometimes maybe a year, but generally it's 2-year at least commitment to the union, just so they can probably get their value as well. And then in that year you just commit yourself to the training and going about it from there, really.
So, what's it all about? The money, the fame? What about the future? What about life after rugby?
That's the main thing about it, you know, you just enjoy it that much that you don't sort of think of the money as the reason you do it, you know, but the money just becomes a bit of a benefit from it, really.
But the reality for the majority of professional players is their careers are over by their mid-30s. What happens then?
Yeah, like I said, I'm 31 now, but yes, I love this game so much and I want to play for a few more years. But if I have to think after rugby, I will definitely go in coaching in, because for the love of the game and all the knowledge I have, I want to give to youngsters, and all the things I experienced in my life to go overseas, see places. I think this is a wonderful career. If you put your mind on it, you can go so much further than you think ever in your whole life you can go. So yeah, if I can do it, I want to be a coach and give all that knowledge to a youngster.
I'd like to do a mixture of all sorts. I know I don't know whether it'll work out that way, but I'd like to have some interest in farming and that sort of thing. I would like to keep an interest in rugby as well, obviously through coaching or some sort. So it's not set in stone at the moment. I'm just trying to keep my options open, and I think variety is the spice of life, they say, don't they?
Life doesn't get much better than being financially well rewarded for playing the sport you love. But what does the future hold when the boots are hung up for the final time?
I suppose life after rugby is the big question for everyone. It's obviously a major issue. We're not like the soccer players where we earn enough money that we can put up our feet and buy a house in south of France or Spain or somewhere like that. On my own behalf, I have a college degree behind me in engineering, but to be honest, after living a life like this, it's hard to see going back into I suppose a factory environment, and an environment like that. I'd find it very hard, but I suppose I'm hoping that I have a few years left yet that I don't have to go in it. But it's a hard question, and it's something that I suppose you tend to leave till the tail end of your career, and it's probably a bit late at that. I'll have to get onto it because I'm getting a bit long in the tooth at the moment.